Right, so the little button there says I'm live. You know the usual scoop. If I am live, then just say something in there just to let me know that I'm not talking to myself. It is not last Thursday. Today is a Christmas gift. Today is a real special for you. It's for people that are in the Sims Distillery in the actual Facebook group. And we've got this special guest that he's traveling. He is busy. He is always busy. And he's allowed us to do this, so I wanted to bring it in quickly for you. I'm actually just quickly going on because no one's talking to me, and I want to make sure we're live. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, we are. Okay, good. All right, so now you're actually answering me. I'm not going to take too long because Jim can only do this for half an hour, but I'm going to make it very, very quick. If any of you don't have this book, then do yourself a favor, get smarter, and get the book. Secondly, if you don't know who Jim Kwik is, all you've got to care about is everyone from Sylvester Stallone, Will Smith, and Oprah Winfrey does. He's a dear, dear old friend of mine. And Claire once said that if she had to name five friends of mine that she would class as quality people, she said Jim would always be in every single one of those. So I know a lot of people. For Claire to actually say that, she's a great judge of character. So I'm not going to hold on anymore. I'm going to bring in the man, the myth, the Jim. Jim, welcome.
That's the highest praise from Claire. So I appreciate it, Steve. It's good to see you, my friend. We go back a long ways. Thank you, everyone who's joining us in this conversation.
Yeah, and, you know Claire's a picky little person. So for her to be so high of you, you know that's something special.
It's an honor. It's an honor. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I've got to announce to everyone that, as I said, Jim is incredibly busy and he doesn't do these. So the fact that he's actually doing it for you is a blessing. You really should be proud of that. But he's got a hard stop, and I'm going to be watching this clock. In 28 minutes, you've got to bail. You're off. So the way that this works is that anyone that's got any questions, they put them in the box, and then we bring them up. But on your book, one of the things I really liked about it was it was a very simple way of reading. You made things very, very simple, but we're in a world today of more distraction, more noise, more excuses for us to not be able to concentrate, retain. How are you keeping that skill set up while getting rid of all the noise that's around us?
No, I love that. I think everybody here feels like there's too much to keep track of, too little time. Rings, pings, dings, everything that's going on with the world currently. I mean, we're experiencing a unique moment in history that has disrupted nearly every area of your life, and there's never been a guidebook for this. And so how do you mentally reboot, catalyze a new approach to learning, to work, to living, to leading? And the challenges is all the stress that people are facing, Steve. I don't know, if you've seen this with clients, with friends, family, stress on our brains, it prepares it for fight or flight or freeze, but not to ponder, not to perform, not to look at possibilities. And sometimes our cognitive abilities, they're limited when our mind feels overwhelmed and where there's too much to process. Work, family, health, the world in general. There's this connection between an overstressed brain and the rest of our body can have a serious impact on our productivity, our prosperity, our peace of mind. So, I use the metaphor right now, Steve, of the symbol of transformation for me has always been a butterfly. A butterfly is this profound symbol of transformation. And it feels like right now that we are cocooning, that we are maybe a little physically distancing ourselves. And when we're cocooning, we're alone with our thoughts, we're alone with our fears, we're alone with our doubts, we might be feeling alone. And part of the stress is some people are just really clinging to a world that was rather than progressing and continuing the cycle as a butterfly. But here's the thing, when the caterpillar feels like it's the end of the world, it becomes that butterfly. But one of the beauties in the butterfly, the growth happens in the cocoon. And I believe, in my book, Limitless, I have a quote from a French philosopher. And he says, life is the C between B and D. Life is C between B and D. B is birth, D is death, C is choice. I believe these difficult times can diminish us. These difficult times can, demolish us, or these difficult times can develop us. Ultimately, we decide. And, we are the sum total of all the choices we made up to this point. And it's just, are we making the choices that are bringing us closer to that person that we want to be? Because I believe there's a version of ourselves that that we haven't met yet. And we just have to keep on showing up until we're introduced to that person. By the way, I just pulled, this is one of my most recommended books. You've seen me post about your book. And so, blue fishing is something that I've always had on my list. I've had been interviewed by media, and it's always been one of my top books. So thank you.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much. I'm actually going to crop that and use it. That if it's good enough for Jim Kwik, it's good enough for you. So I'm going to abuse that. So thank you. One of the things I've always loved about you was you came from, and if anyone wants to know about Jim, Google him. We don't have time for that. He's a phenomenal person. Google him. But we want to get into the crux of it. You actually focus, and you've worked with the biggest stars in Hollywood on how to get them to remember things like scripts. You're very well known in the movie community because you're literally employed by Marvel to teach all the actors how to retain and remember their lines to give great performances. Can you share some of your little tips on how we can remember and retain information? Because I'm god awful at it, and you are exceptional.
Well, there's no such thing as a good or bad memory. There's a trained memory and there's an untrained memory. So when I get to work with studio heads and their talent, to be able to, who wouldn't want to, speed read a script or memorize their lines more quickly? So I'll give everyone something to memorize right now, and I'll show you how to do it. And the things that I'll show you, imagine these are points to a TED Talk, or maybe you're speaking at a speakeasy, and you have 10 points to your speech, and you're like, oh, I can't memorize this. I'm nervous about public speaking. I'll give you 10 things to remember, and they'll be for your brain. So 10 things we talk about in the book, I think about how to upgrade your brain, because I feel like more people upgrade their phones, they upgrade their apps more than they upgrade the most important technology, which is the human mind. So here are really quickly 10 things you could do to upgrade your brain. And this is the hardware. In the book, I talk about the software, speed reading, learning languages, remembering people's names, but you also have to take care of the hardware, which is the brain itself. So here are 10 things. And then I'm going to show you a trick to memorize these 10 things. All right. So really fast. The first thing in no particular order, good brain diet. And what I would ask everyone to do is actually write this down. We'll turn this into a little masterclass. Rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. How much energy and attention are you putting into this category? All right, these are the 10 things. We know one third of your memory is predetermined by genetics and biology. 2/3 is in your control. So here are the 10 things that move the needle. Number one, a good brain diet. There's a whole area of science I talk about in the book called neuronutrition, that your brain is only 2% of your body mass, but it requires 20% of the nutrients. And some of those nutrients are different than the rest of the body. And so good brain foods are things like avocados, blueberries, I like to call them brain berries, broccoli, eggs, if your diet allows the choline in eggs, is good for the brain. Olive oil is good for the brain. Green leafy vegetables, walnuts, dark chocolate, good for the brain. All right. So in scale 0 to 10, how good is your diet? The poor foods, processed foods, sugar foods, not good for the brain. Number two, and imagine you have to give a TED Talk about this. That's why you're taking notes. Number two, killing ants is clinically proven to be good for your brain. And ants is a term I got from our mutual friend, Dr. Daniel Amen, stands for automatic negative thoughts. And I believe your brain is like a supercomputer, and your self-talk is the program it will run. So if you tell yourself, I'm not good at remembering names, you won't remember the name of the next person you meet because you program your supercomputer not to. And so you always be mindful of your self-talk. And so 0 to 10, you can rate that. Number three, really quickly, is exercise. As your body moves, your brain grooves. It's been shown that when people move their body, they exercise, they create brain-derived neurotropic factors, fancy words, but it means it's fertilizer for your brain. And we know that some of the, these amazing, whether it's Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, they're known for doing these walking meetings. It helps with creativity, helps with focus. When you're on an elliptical and you're listening, or treadmill, and you're listening to something like an audio book or a many people listen to our podcast here, you'll actually understand it better and actually retain it better as you're moving. So on a scale of 0 to 10, how much are you moving regularly? Because we're behind screens all day. And so taking breaks and moving your body. As your body moves, your brain grooves. Number four, brain nutrients. There's not a lot of time to talk about those right now, but go to a functional medicine doctor, see where you're nutrient deficient, and you're not going to run on all cylinders if you're lacking, vitamin E, vitamin B. The most important nutrient to supplement with omega-3s, DHA, because your brain is mostly fat. So those are your fish oils. That's number 4. Number 5 is for your good for your brain, positive peer group. And you could teach courses on this. Who you spend time with is who you become. You've introduced me to some of the most amazing, minds, out there, some of the biggest names out there. And they say, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so I'm honored, to hang out with you and Claire and in your community, because we have these things called mirror neurons, and that's in our nervous system. We start imitating the people around us, and that's the science behind it. We start using the same language, have the same habits. We start starting to develop the same behaviors as the people we spend time with. They say, be careful spending time with 9 broke people, because you're going to be number 10. So positive peer group, 0 to 10. We all need people to encourage us, challenges us, to be kind to us. And if you haven't found that person, be that person for other people, especially be that person for yourself. That's number 5. Number 6, clean environment, kind of self-explanatory. The brain loves a clean environment. Making your bed, little things. If you want a great video, search Jim Kwik morning routine. I did a podcast, 8 million people watched it. It's just the 10 things I do to jumpstart my brain. And just one of them is just like, clean environment. You clean your laptop, everything's in a file folder. It has clarity of thought. And so your external world is a reflection of your internal world. 0 to 10, you rate your environment. And then finally, 7, 8, 9, 10. 7 is sleep. That's kind of an obvious one, but I just want to call, you high achievers out, that you have to be able to, you could sleep your way to success. It's absolutely true. When you sleep, you consolidate short to long-term memory. If you have long-term memory issues, when you sleep, you clean out plaque that leads to brain aging challenges. That's something I'm very passionate about. My grandmother died of Alzheimer's. We actually donated 100% of the book proceeds. Literally every single purchase went to charity. And so to build schools for young girls and boys who have no access to education, we built schools everywhere from Kenya to Guatemala to Ghana, full schools, healthcare, clean water, and also Alzheimer's research. Because it's just, it's a growing up, it's a challenge right now. But sleep is important to clean out the plaque in your brain. Number 8 is brain protection. When people see me do these demonstrations at events, including yours and events you and I have spoken at, I sometimes will memorize like 30 or 40 or 50 people's names in an audience, or 100 words or numbers. And I always tell people, I don't do this to impress you. I just express to you what's possible, because the truth is all of you could do that. Absolutely. I've been doing this for 29 years. You could all do this regardless of your age, your background, your education, your IQ. You just weren't taught. School, there were some gaps. They taught you what to learn, math, history, science, but there were 0 classes on how to learn, how to focus, how to study, how to read faster, how to comprehend more, how to remember things, how to solve problems and critically think, so kind of topics that, also other topics that are important, like the ones that you cover, in your speakeasy, in your gatherings, financial literacy, success, networking, those things. So that's number 8 is brain protection. The reason I bring that up is I grew up with 3 traumatic brain injuries that led to learning difficulties and challenges. So I know what it's like to struggle. It took me 3 years longer to learn how to read when I was a kid. When I was 9, I was slowing down in class. Teacher pointed to me, said, "That's the boy with the broken brain." So it's something that my inspiration really was my desperation doing what I do today. So that's number 8 is protect your brain, wear a helmet. Number 9, new learnings. And I'm preaching to the choir because they're part of your community. They love to learn. And I would just say, emphasize reading. Reading is to your mind what exercise is to your body. And I really believe leaders are readers. And if somebody has decades of experience like you, and you put into a book, and somebody can sit down in a few days and read this book, they could download decades into days. And that's the biggest advantage that there is. And, we like to get people reading a book a week. If people see pictures of me with these individuals, whether it's the Oprahs, the Bill Gates, the Elon Musk, the Richard Branson, we bonded over books, frankly. The love of reading. Leaders are readers. But to read 1 book a week, by the way, the average person, it's only 45 minutes a day. It's a lot, but it's not as much. 52 books a year will give you a PhD, a master's in anything, compared to the person who reads just 3 books or 2 books a year. And then finally, the last, number 10, stress management. We just talked about the power of stress to shrink our brains, to create, challenges. And so 0 to 10, how are you coping with stress? For me, I go to meditation. That's kind of my go-to. But how are you relaxing? Maybe it's you, riding your motorcycle up the coastline. But what do you do to be able to get out of your own head and reduce, anxiety? So those are 10 things. And so what I would invite you to do now is I'm going to show you how to memorize these 10 things. very quickly. And so imagine you had to give a talk at Steve's next, speakeasy gathering event, and you need to remember this, and you don't want to use a teleprompter or slides or anything. Very, very simple technique. Take a breath, breathe, just breathe normally. If you want, and you're able to, close your eyes. I'm gonna walk you through a quick visualization exercise. It'll take 2 minutes to memorize this entire list, and you'll remember it for a long, long time. It's a 2,500-year-old memory technique that came out of ancient Greece. So I want you to imagine, we have an office in Westchester, New York. I want you to imagine you land, car picks you up, and I'm gonna walk you through 10 places in my office. And I'm gonna teach you a method I call PIE, P-I-E. P stands for place, I stands for imagination, E stands for entwine. They're the 3 keys to having a limitless memory. Now, I'm gonna walk you through 10 places, that's the P, and then we're gonna take the 10 tips and turn them into the I, the images, and then we're gonna entwine or put them together. So you're gonna remember it all in this one walk. So I want you to imagine you get to my office. It's a big glass building in suburbia outside of New York City. And the first place is the parking lot. So I want everyone just imagine a parking lot there. You get out of the car, and immediately the first brain tip is there waiting for you. And it's a buffet of good brain food. And you just have a big eating contest, and so maybe a food fight, blueberries, walnuts, dark chocolate, avocados everywhere, all right? From there, there's a waterfall that creates like a moat around my building. And the second place is the bridge. So I want everyone to think about crossing the bridge. That's the second place. And as you're crossing the bridge, the second brain tip, you're killing ants. You're just stepping on lots of ants. And you would never do that, automatic negative thoughts, but that's why it stands out in your mind. From there, you walk into the building and you get into the third place, and that's the elevator. What's the third place? You get to just say it out loud as you're watching it.
The elevator.
The elevator, and you walk in, and all of a sudden, exercise. Remember, movement is key. So you're getting in the elevator, there's a trainer in there, you're doing yoga, Pilates, CrossFit, work, push-ups, whatever it is. From there, you get out. Fourth place is the hallway. And then I want you to see on the carpet of the hallway all these brain vitamins. Brain vitamins everywhere. Ginkgo biloba, vitamin B, omega-3s, all over. Bottles and empty containers everywhere, brain vitamins. From there, you open up the door of the office. Immediately to the left is a closet, and inside the closet is the fifth place. Inside the closet is your positive peer group. All your happy friends are in the closet. So all your happiest friends, they're in the closet. And you just like, that's really interesting. And from there, you go to the sixth place is the receptionist. And the receptionist cleaning everything. And I want you to just imagine that, vacuuming and mopping everything. And just, it's interesting. Behind the receptionist is the seventh place, fish tank. Imagine a big tropical fish tank. And the seventh tip, sleep. So I want you to imagine the fish are sleeping with the fishes. The fish are in pajamas. Nemo is in their bunk bed with Dory, and they're snoring, sleeping fishes. From there, you go to a room to take like a speed reading class. The door is the eighth place, the door to the classroom, and it's locked. So there's a helmet on waiting for you on a hook. You put on the helmet, you smash the door open. The helmet reminds of brain protection. Protect your brain. And then finally, up front is a whiteboard. That's the ninth place. And I'm writing, always be learning. Always be learning on the whiteboard. Always learning. And your favorite marker. And then finally, on the side are all these bonsai trees. And those bonsai trees is on this 10th place, and you want to remember stress management. So whatever lowers stress, maybe you're getting a massage on the bonsai trees, you're meditating on the bonsai trees, you're having your favorite drink on the bonsai trees, all right? So that's how the technique works. So when you're on stage at the speakeasy, all you do is walk through this journey, right? This memory palace, if you will, and then all of a sudden, these 10 brain tips. You go to the parking lot, and then all of a sudden you see all that brain food, right? You cross the bridge, you're killing ants. And I challenge everyone to take out a piece of paper on their own time and then write as many as you can remember. And then see if you can do it forwards and backwards. Because when you understand how your memory works, you could work your memory and be limitless for sure.
Wow. I have been with you many times, countless times. And I remember a mutual friend of ours, Jason Gaynard, when you did a tear-jerking presentation in Napa. And you go through these exercises, and I'm sitting there I can't get this wrong. And so as you're going through this, I'm sitting there going, he's going to ask me what's in the closet, what's on the carpet. So I'm like stressed out.
I know.
So but I love the way that you do that. You actually assign an image and a place to the memory. And I've taken those tips and I've used them and they've worked very, very well. I know that you're out in 10 minutes time. So I'm going to quickly look down here and see if we can start ringing up a few questions. Can we begin development memory through muscle memory, like writing, reparation, or reading 3 times? What is that?
Yeah, you could absolutely learn. Muscle memory is very powerful. Even Instagram has just recently taken advantage of that. I don't know if you see the new different layout of Instagram, where you get your notifications on the bottom and the bottom right. And now what they put on the bottom right is their shopping center.
They did change it. Yes, I saw that. I noticed that.
So automatically you go there for your notifications to see what messages you have and who's liked and shared everything. Now you go to a little shopping area. Muscle memory is a very powerful way to learn. We did a podcast on how to learn physical techniques faster, things like dance or martial arts. Certainly when you handwrite, talk about the memory, you were asking about handwriting. When you handwrite something, you actually learn it better than when you type it because of that muscle memory. The other reason why, not only will you get better comprehension and retention, is because most people could type pretty fast, talking about muscle memory. You could type as fast as some people could talk, but you can't write that fast. So it forces you to really listen and pay attention and filter and write down the things that are most important. So handwriting is a wonderful way to retain information. We lose 80% of what we learn just hearing it once. So taking notes is a great way. Search Jim Kwik, how to take notes. It's another episode that's been seen by millions of people.
We'll put these in there. I always write things down, and I learned that from you. I learned a lot from you. All right, so we got another one here from Adam. Do accelerated learning techniques help for physical skill acquisition, such as sports and musical instruments?
Adam, I touched upon that just now, and we did a whole podcast episode. So definitely search for that. A good 20 minutes on how to do that. Yes, 100%. Some of the principles you want to be able to employ for physical activities or musical. First of all, the human brain likes to learn in about 25-minute intervals, 25 to 30-minute intervals. It's called the Pomodoro technique. Basically, research has shown that after about 25, 30 minutes, there's a dip in focus and a dip in concentration. And so learning in 25, 30-minute increments is very powerful. And then taking a 5-minute break to hydrate, to breathe, to move, as we talked about, and then going back to that activity. The other reason why is it takes advantage of a memory principle called primacy and recency. Primacy says you tend to remember stuff at the beginning. You go to a party, you remember the first people there. Recency says you remember the last people, most recent. So if you study for 5 hours that musical instrument or that martial arts or that dance thing, you'll remember stuff in the beginning, at the end, and then there's a big dip in between. By taking a break every 30 minutes, you create more beginnings and ends. So you pick up all that information. So that's a nice way of doing it. Also, when it comes to skills, I'll give you another technique. It's just breaking things down. The meta skill of learning how to learn is the most important skill, because then it makes money, martial arts, music, Mandarin, marketing, everything else easier if you can learn how to learn. So usually what we do is we'll break it down into chunks, because it's not a golf swing. It's breaking it down into the subset parts. And so we break that down and we actually train each individual subset skill, until completion, and then go to the next one. So whether it's a dance step, one of the other things that will certainly help is incorporating more of your senses. So the third idea, besides breaking things down into smaller parts, studying in 25, 30-minute increments, is also using more of your senses, meaning when you could see it, hear it, taste it, more senses you could use, the more you can learn it. I have a video online, just search Jim Kwik counting in Japanese, where I teach people how to count to Japanese, which you've planned some amazing trips to Japan to stand in my mind. It's funny how interesting memory works. Count to 10 in Japanese in just 2 minutes, but we use visual, auditory, kinesthetic. We use your body to help, your muscle memory to help you to learn those languages faster. So lots of great research on this topic.
Good. We've got a little one in here that I know is going to be close to your heart. I don't know of anyone that has met more of the Marvel actors than you. And so Adam's asked a very poignant question here. And I know you and Tim Bilyeu from the Impact Theory. Who is your favorite comic book? Now, here's a weird twist that Adam asked. Villain. So who's your favorite? Yeah, who's your favorite villain?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you my hero just because I know it's not the
Yeah.
answer to the question, but I got to introduce two heroes together. It was Richard Branson, Stan Lee, and in the car, they went. I asked Stan, I was like, "Who's your favorite? You created all these." And he said, "Iron Man." And then he said, "Jim, who's your favorite?" And I said, "Spider-Man," because he had a big Spider-Man tie. And he said, "With great power comes great responsibility." And I switch things around, maybe because of my brain injury. Even when I read and I heard something different, I was like, "You're right. With great power comes great responsibility, and with great responsibility comes great power." And when we take responsibility for something, we have great power to make things better. And so that's just kind of a lesson I've always taken with me. In terms of my villains, I mean, like Thanos did some pretty bad stuff.
Yeah.
in that series where he wiped out half of life, in existence. So that's really up there. I love Magneto just because I'm a big X-Men fan and his ability to do what he does. But just love the X-Men so much. That's a big villain. But
They are good.
The size of the villain determines the size of the hero. That's why Darth Vader is so amazing. Thanos was so incredible because you don't want a weak villain. Just like in your life, you don't want small challenges. Like the big challenges means you have to change in order to overcome it. And so I love big, badass villains because that means the hero has to be even better.
I do like that. The villain is big, depending on you. All right, so we've got. Hang on a second. Sorry, I was looking for Todd here. I do apologize. Todd came up with a good one here, and I know Todd's a massive fan of yours. When he heard Jim Kwik was coming on here, he was like a giggly girl at a Justin Bieber concert. He started throwing up pictures. He's done reviews of your book, so you've got a big fan here, Todd.
Yeah.
He's asking here: is it beneficial?
I'm a really fast reader, so it works out really well. Todd, I appreciate it, and thanks for the kind words. I read multiple books at a time. For 4 years, I read a book a day. It's not anyone could do this. You go to jimkwik.com/reading. You could take a free masterclass. It's actually the link in my Instagram. If you look at it, it's right there. It's a free masterclass, and it'll take you through a process to help boost everyone's focus, comprehension, and reading speed. I just read different nonfiction during the day, and I read fiction at night. I don't like to get very heady in my head. When I read fiction, it's been shown to help your emotional intelligence, your empathy, your creative skills, your storytelling, your narrative. I think that's very important. So I do read multiple books, mostly nonfiction during the day, gets me in my executive brain, but I don't want to be in my executive brain at night. So I'll read fiction, something that's story-based, something that's lighter, and it'll help me sleep much better. And I do take notes. You can just search on, I've done 8 episodes on speed reading and memory. On this topic on smart reading in my podcast. We just celebrated our 200th episode. Every episode's only 15 minutes, max 20, no ads, no sponsors. And so if people want to get more information on that, but I like reading multiple books. I'm
going to put the links in it because everyone, I'm telling you, you need to be following this guy. He's a genius, and you do need, apart from being a wonderful friend of mine, you do need to follow everything he says. All right, so we've got one more question come here. Does reading out loud help or detract?
Yeah. So here's interesting. And I'll go through this question because I really want to answer this correctly. One of the actually things that forces us to read slowly is this reading out loud or internally. They call it subvocalization. Have you ever realized, like, when you're reading, you hear that inner voice inside your head? You just put it in the chat. Hopefully it's your own voice. It's not like somebody else's voice. The reason why it's a challenge is if you have to say all the words out loud or inside, you can only read as fast as you could speak. That means your reading speed is limited to your talking speed, but not your thinking speed. How many of you like to listen to audios, podcasts, books faster? You could understand that fast, but you can't speak that fast. So in actuality, we find that the fastest readers, and we have programs in 195 nations. I've been teaching speed reading 29 years. We have a lot of data that the faster readers tend to not even speak out loud or even speak internally as much. They reduce their subvocalization. And it's interesting because they actually have better comprehension. And it's the reason why is when you read slowly, your brain, this incredible supercomputer in the universe, you feed it one word at a time. Metaphorically, you're starving your mind. And if you don't give your brain the stimulus it needs, it'll seek entertainment elsewhere in the form of distraction. It's kind of like if you're driving and you're going slow, you could do 5 different things: drinking coffee, texting, singing, talking to someone, thinking about the dry cleaning, 5 things because you're going slow. But if you're racing cars, right, you get an incredible experience through Steve. You can race cars wherever, right? And all of a sudden, you're not thinking about the dry cleaning. You're not trying to text. You have 100% focus on the act of driving and what's in front of you. That's the same thing with trained readers. They could go faster and they have better comprehension because they have better focus. And so we find that those who subvocalize less actually understand more, and they could read 2-3 times faster also as well. So it's interesting. But I tell you more, again, jimkwik.com/reading is the free masterclass.
We're going to be putting it in there.
Yeah.
I never, ever want to be rude, and you know I love you, but don't you have a hard stop?
I do. My final word, Steve, is I just want to thank you for being like a superhero. We talk about superheroes. You're a real life superhero in my life. And so I appreciate the cape that you wear, and this is like, I drop everything to be able to do this for you. It's not just to me, it's really to you, because, for me, I think it's so important nowadays more than ever. How do you become limitless in a limited world? We do it together, and you have world-class competence here, character here, and this level of consciousness that's unparalleled. So I appreciate you. And just want to remind everybody here that, this is very special. We need more gatherings like this where are people sharing greatness with you. I believe that our life is like an egg, that if an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. But if it's broken by an inside force, life begins. Great things begin on the inside. And all of you, if you're here, part of Steve's community, you have greatness inside of you. You have genius inside of you. You are the greatest project you will ever get to work on. Make time, take time, create magic. And I love this book.
I'm gonna cry, Jim.
Thank you.
Air hug. I love you, man, and I'll see you in New York real soon. I promise.
Fantastic. Do my best to Claire. Thank you, everybody.
See you, man. Bye.
I know.
Wow, I will tell you, I'm a little bit humbled. I am fan gushing over this guy. He is fantastic. He is genuine, and you've only got to spend a couple of minutes with him, and he can change your trajectory. He can make you more impactful. And so what I don't want to do is I urge you, go and look up the videos. Please find the videos and shove them in this thread. But let's share this. He really is there to help you. The fact that he took time out of doing his world tour for his book, which is like a bestseller everywhere, all over the freaking planet, to do this was not only an honor, but the things he said was humbling. And the stuff he gave to you, fuck me, you cannot be more impactful by using this. This stuff is gold. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a December freebie for you. We do first Tuesday last Thursday when I said to him, hey, would you be, because he literally contacted, he was like, hey, how you doing, Steve? And I was like, oh, can you come on? And he said, I can't do it on a Tuesday or Thursday because I'm leaving the country. But I can do it today, and I was not going to try and alter it. So I booked a date in straight away, and I am thrilled that so many of you actually turned up for this. You are quite genuinely geniuses. You are quite openly creative disruptors. You wouldn't put up with the shit I give you if you weren't something special, and I'm very, very honored by knowing all of you. This was a little one. I love you very much, and I look forward to seeing you soon. The last Thursday of December, your expert AMA is going to be me. Any questions you've got, I'm going to run the end of the year. Why not? It's my show. I get to pick the prime slot. I'm going to be the person on the last Thursday. If you've got any questions on what I'm doing, what I'm failing at, what I'm finding, how things are stretching, then it's going to be a Q&A, AMA with yours truly. Get your coffee, get your biscuits, get your questions, and I'll see you at the end of the month. For now, be safe, be positive, and do something impactful. Bye.